Hey there folks, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry Ray, the final volume of the Higurashi visual novel on Steam. When we last left off, we were at school, and she found out after school club activities just didn't exist in this world. So, let's push on. The three of us headed for the entrance. Our outdoor shoes were the only ones left. There are less slippers here than I remember. Yes, I decided to naturally mention it. Rina responded right away. It's lonely, but what can we do? As they say, you gotta look for a nice big tree when you seek shelter. Anyway, sorry about this, but I'm gonna get going. I'll leave Rika-chan's escort to you, Rina. Reina? Okay. Ray? Nah? Yes? What is it? Nothing. Rina was the kind Rina I know, but her name wasn't Rina. Reina. That was Rina's real name, but in the worlds I knew, she'd thrown it aside, which meant she hadn't given up being Reina? Or her path leading to today was different from the one in the worlds I knew? I knew Rina hated herself because she considered herself responsible for her mother's divorce. And as she'd mess up both her life and herself, she would have decided to part ways with that old self, start over, and rename herself Rina. But that didn't happen. That wasn't the only thing I learned from this conversation either. Regarding the number of people in the classroom, when I mentioned there weren't many people, they acted like there was a reason. That meant the current number of students in this world hadn't been from that way from the start. It had decreased to this number. Mion ran off, and Rina and I left school together. When we went across the schoolyard, I saw Satoko fooling around playing tag. Are you looking at Satoko-chan? Meep! Her name was different, but she still picked up on these things quickly. I'm sure Satoko-chan wasn't being mean when she hit you with the ball. Forgive her, okay? I don't really mind. Reina seemed to be trying to smooth it over. It kind of sounded like Satoko and I weren't normally friendly with one another. So I asked, Are Satoko and I not friends? Of course you are. You're both in the same class. The way she said that was enough of an answer. Now I knew why Satoko acted so coldly to me in the nurse's office. In this world, Satoko and I weren't friends. Maybe that made sense. After all, if Satoshi was alive and well, then Satoko would spend all her time with him. The reason Satoko and I got to the point we could call close was because Satoko ended up all alone. I asked her to stay at my house, and we started living together. Of course, we were friends before that too, just nowhere near how close we were in 1983. Maybe, in the end, our relationship was nothing more than me sitting in Satoshi's empty seat. When I thought about that, When I considered what would happen if Satoshi was around in June 1983, maybe this was the most natural future. With regretful eyes, I watched as Satoko frolicked about. Satoko looked like she was having a lot of fun with her other classmates. She wouldn't even notice me going home from school. I'm going to stop thinking about it so much. Before the true world I need to reach, this world is all but a defective one. I don't need to bother trying to understand a broken world. And, okay. There's a lot less stores open, too. When we went through downtown, with all of its stores with their shutters down, Reina spoke up. I didn't care about this world anymore, but as a classmate going home with her, I answered unconsciously. I wonder why so many closed up. Well, it only makes sense. They can only do business until next year anyway. They're getting less and less customers too. It's not strange that some would want to close up shop early. Why won't they do business after next year? They can't. They're getting evicted. Evicted? It sucks, but there's nothing we can do. And even if the village sinks, it won't destroy our souls, the ones that belong here. I gave a start when I heard that. No, that couldn't. No, it was possible. In every single world, the story of Hinamizawa being submerged under an artificial lake was always present. But the Irie Institute, working from the shadows, would make sure that the dam project was cancelled. If there was no Irie Institute around to make them cancel it, that means the dam project was proceeding as planned, and then the dam will... I heard they decided to flood this area next year. I think it'll take quite a few days to submerge, but I don't really want to watch. Maybe after it's all a lake, but watching it go under would be sad. Wasn't anyone opposed to it? At first there were, but we can't be selfish when it comes to helping the nation grow. I don't really understand, but apparently the government people were really nice and talked to us a lot about it. The dam conflict I was hearing from Reina wasn't even a conflict in this world. Everything regarding the dam was completely different from the worlds I knew. They'd proposed the Hinamizawa Dam project, which was the same as the worlds I knew. Relations between the nation who wanted to evict us and the residents who refused gradually worsened and eventually broke down. It snowballed into a dire conflict over the dam. But in this world, it had been different from the very beginning. First off, relations between the country and the village were stormy at the very, very beginning, but apparently that was resolved quickly. The Sonozaki and Kimiyoshi families negotiated on the village's behalf, and they accepted the eviction on the promise of a large sum of compensation money. After that, the conversation was between the three families and the villagers. Nobody wanted to part with the soil of their ancestors. But for the villagers, who certainly couldn't be called wealthy, the money the nation would provide was no trivial matter. They worried over it to no end. Rumors flew about, wondering if Oyashiro-sama's curse would befall them if they abandoned these lands. But the Furuta family head, my father, in other words, declared we couldn't be cursed if we built Oyashiro-sama a new shrine somewhere else and remembered to honor him. Despite many objections, the elderly agreed on a cooling off period of several years. In addition to the compensation money, they demanded from the government the movement of the Furuta shrine, the graveyard, and its symbolic trees, in addition to the guarantee of a new place they could call Inamizawa. And if those requests were fulfilled, they would consider agreeing to the eviction. The nation consented to this. The proposed preferential occupation rights of reclaimed public housing land in Shishibone. Shishibone? Either way. With regards to giving the town a new name, they considered the residents' proposal at most important, and they consented to the movement of the shrine, graveyard, and other locations as well. In conclusion, though there were several years of turmoil, the dam conflict never happened in this world. Everything was resolved through talking alone. And the villagers had actually agreed to the dam project. Actual construction on the dam had begun a few years ago, and apparently construction vehicles were a constant source of traffic on the village's wider roads. And the eviction deadline was set at the end of April next year, so more than a few families had begun moving out in advance. One closed shop's shutter had a worn paper notice on it. On it was written, our deepest gratitude for your many years of patronage. I spotted a few other notices with opposed to the dam on them, but those had deteriorated over time, a silent indication that the dam war was a thing of the past now. I don't think all of the kids in class are moving into the public housing. Satoko-chan's family is supposedly moving somewhere else. It's a little lonely to think we won't be able to see all our friends after next year. Meep! The village I was born and grew up in being submerged was very sad. But all my classmates, enjoying this day to the fullest, even though they knew that, seemed so strong to me. And if the dam war never took place, that would cause several other effects. For example, the relationship between the Sonozaki and the Haojao families. At the beginning of the dam conflict, the Haojaos declared themselves in favor of the dam, with the Sonozakis in opposition, and the former ended up as a scapegoat of the village for a long time. But that trouble never occurred in this world. Satoko-chan's family, I don't know. I think they're normal. I don't think they have much particularly in common with Mi-chan's family. Does Satoko get along with her family? Oh, you mean her father? Even without the dam conflict, the presence of a stepfather would be burden on Satoko's mind. And with the L5 symptoms appearing, she would push him from the viewing platform at the park and be given into care of her malicious aunt and uncle, because her stepfather's presence would be the very gateway to Satoko's later unfortunate fate. When I think about it now, maybe their awkwardness with each other at first made for a good memory. They aren't connected by blood, so they tried hard to be father and daughter. And maybe now they have a stronger bond than she would with her biological parents. I've talked to them a bunch of times, but he's a good person that works hard to support his family. You mean Satoko's current father? Yep. Which meant in this world, none of the dice threatening Satoko had come up on a 1. For Satoko, did that mean this world a happy place? Did that make this world a happy place for her? My walk home with Reina was very significant for me understanding this world. And I found out that this world's composition betrayed every last bit of my common sense. The reason Reina wasn't Rina, that was different from the very start. First, the Ryugu family didn't move to Ibaraki. They had lived in Inamizawa this entire time. Her mother was still working as a designer at a small company in the city. Her father had switched careers, and now he was a salesman for his wife's designs. The couple must have been on good terms for one to design things and the other to sell them. As always, her mother's position seemed to be stronger, but their relationship was an average one, and divorce, at the very least, seemed impossible. That meant a nice, peaceful family for Reina. That satisfied her fully, and she even said that she lived a happy life. The fact that she knew that without going through hardships, though, she really was still Rina. I asked about the Takano clinic too. It was as the big Dr. Yamamoto's had said. The Takano clinic was indeed the one who had been Mio Takano's adopted grandfather, Hifumi Takano. Right after the war, he built a surprisingly grand clinic in Hinamizawa, which had no doctors, and became a celebrity to the villagers. I learned that there was a monument dedicated to Takano in the place of one dedicated to Airi in the worlds I knew. After Takano's passing, there was nobody to succeed his place in the clinic, and for a long time it had been left empty. That was when a man from Okonomiya named Yamamoto arrived and breathed new life into the clinic. Takano had discovered the Hinamizawa syndrome and searched for research sponsors, but found none. And eventually, Mio Takano would succeed him. But what if the older Takano had found a sponsor? Neither Mio Takano nor Airi would appear, and the Takano clinic being built right after the war would make sense. Which meant that Takano in this world had been blessed with good dice rolls. At this point, I had a vague idea about something. Weren't these dice rolls the exact opposite of the ones for the world I knew well? The people themselves hadn't changed at all, but the dice God had cast for these people were all reversed. So it made sense that it had turned into such a strange world for me. I learned one more thing from talking to Reina too. In this world, I had no friends. I was alone. Keiichi never transferred to our school, we didn't have a club, and Satoko had no connection to me. So maybe it was only natural. At that point, I finally realized why Reina had sympathized with me going home alone and done her going home club activities with me. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Huh? Oh, I see. For a moment, I was confused when she said goodbye, since we weren't in front of the temple, but I quickly understood. We were in front of the Furude main house. Since Takano never appeared, there was no Irie Institute, nor any research into Hinamizawa syndrome, and so my parents never died. At first, my parents cooperated with the researchers, but when I fell ill with a high fever one day, they stopped cooperating, had some kind of trouble, and were assassinated. My mother was the hysterical type. When she made a fuss, settling her down took a while. And because she made a fuss, the Irie Institute, which wanted to do its research in secret, naturally wanted to make sure she didn't talk. She'd held such an attitude even knowing how shady the Institute was. So in a sense, I couldn't deny that she'd reap what she'd sowed. In any case, no matter how many times I did this over, no matter how many times I warned her, it never worked. And I had resigned myself to the fact that I no longer had parents. That I no longer have parents by 1981. And I'd repeated it many times. I'd seen my parents for dozens of years in total, so I was fed up with them. We weren't on good terms to begin with anyway. And now, in June of 1983, they were here again. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Nita. After seeing Reina off, I looked at my real home. I saw my mother patting out a dried futon in the yard. In normal worlds, they would always die, but in this one, they were alive the whole time. I found myself unsure of how to talk to my real mother. Is that you, Rika? Welcome home. Meep. I'm home. Go wash your hands and rinse out your mouth. And then get your books ready for tomorrow. Did you get any homework? Yes, she was my mother, all right. Honestly speaking, I wasn't used to the Furude main house. It was my true home, but it had only ever been my home before 1983. Like a prison of time, while I waited in melancholy for the day Keiichi transferred here. But Keiichi wouldn't transfer here, and my parents wouldn't die. Which meant in this world, I would never get out of this prison. But maybe that was a weird way to think about it. Without a dead-end fate, there was no victory or defeat, no destiny or miracles. This was my actual home. It was nothing more, and nothing less. I went to my room, put down my book bag, and took a breath. Usually, when I was by myself, Hanyu would appear, but in this world, she hadn't shown up. How long are you planning on wasting time? Hurry up and appear, and take me back to my original world. I knew by now this world was odd and filled with what-ifs. I had it up to here with my exploration of this alternate universe. But Hanyu didn't appear. Oh, that's right. Hanyu was by herself in the ritual storehouse a lot. Maybe she was there right now. In any case, whatever else happened, I just wanted to see Hanyu. I put on my shoes and ran out towards the shrine. As I turned my back on my annoying mother, who called after me, asking if I'd really rinse out my mouth. In a world where my father was alive, it was hard to get the key to the storehouse. But thanks to the innumerable worlds I've been through, I found a way to get into the storehouse without it. I could hear the elders having a pleasant talk in the assembly hall, my father's laughs mixed in with theirs. My father hated me ever going near the ritual storehouse. Well, considering what it stored, I could sort of understand why he wouldn't want to let his beloved daughter inside it. After making sure nobody was looking, I climbed up a tree growing behind the storehouse. My climb didn't go as smoothly as when Satoko had shown me she could do it. In any case, I crawled up stubbornly and jumped down onto the storehouse roof. I was a little scared of jumping. I'd climbed pretty high off the ground. Even a centenarian witch can't escape the danger of heights. If I recalled right, there was a broken lattice window on the roof, and you could get in and out through there. This world was betraying all my expectations and giving me the exact opposite. I considered that maybe you couldn't go in and out through it anymore. But in the place Satoko once told me about, it was broken just like she said, and a child would be able to fit inside. Even trivial things like this were a relief. Maybe just the sun setting in the west would be a relief for me right now. Because in this world, it could always set in the east. Yes, this discomfort I felt at having to doubt everything made me dizzy and sick. Hanyu! Hanyu! Are you there? No answer. I was too afraid to call out again. Because maybe if I did, I still wouldn't get any answer. For me personally, Hanyu not existing in this world was the one dice roll that couldn't happen. Hanyu! Hanyu! Then I felt something I couldn't describe. The presence of someone, but not a person. Something only I could perceive. The presence of Hanyu. But Hanyu always answered me when I called for her. She wasn't now. What did that mean? But she was there. But she was here. She was. I couldn't help poking my head through the roof. I climbed down a bundle of hanging chains and entered. Hanyu! Hanyu! Where are you? Answer me! Rika! Rika! Where are you? This time I heard her for sure. There was no doubt. Hanyu! I'm right here! Where are you? I can't see you at all! Rika! Rika! Answer me! Hanyu's feeble words implied she was actually the one who couldn't hear my voice. I looked for a place where I could hear her better. Before I realized it, I went to the altar in front of the holy vessel. Something that looked like a small crystal ball was on the altar, and I sensed it giving off a faint light. That was where Hanyu's voice seemed to be coming from. The ball was about the size of a large toy marble, but it was seated respectfully on a small cushion which told me it was no ordinary stone. I took the crystal ball in my hand and pressed it to my ear. Rika, if you can hear me, please answer again. Rika, Rika! There was no doubt. I was hearing Hanyu's voice from this crystal ball, and it sounded like it was searching for me, growing more distant all the while. Hanyu, I can hear you. It's me, Rika. I'm right here. Rika, Rika, I can hear your voice. Where are you? I can't find you. Your voice is so distant, I don't understand. Please, call louder. I'm here. I'm right here. Why can't I hear your voice from this crystal ball? Wait, no, that's not important. I'm right here, right in front of the altar in the storehouse. Hanyu, Hanyu! I can hear your voice. I'm searching for you now. Please don't let go of the fragment. Keep on calling my name. Louder. I'm here, Hanyu. Come, hurry. Hanyu, Hanyu. For a while, I kept shouting her name as if I'd gone mad. It was like clinging to a tin can telephone right before the string snapped. If Hanyu's voice cut off in the middle, if she left me behind, all alone, in the darkness of the storehouse, that was scarier than anything else I could imagine. So, as she told me to, I shouted her name over and over again. Hanyu had to be searching for me by listening for my voice. I didn't know what her situation was, but it seemed Hanyu and I were far away from one another, that we were immeasurably distant. And as the crystal ball's light straightened, I knew she was coming closer. At first, the light I sensed from it had been faint, but now it was bright as a weak miniature light bulb, and I could clearly see it was shining. Rika, what's going on? I can't enter the world you're in. What? What are you saying? I'm the one who needs help here. I don't care how, just come here. Take me out of this world. Rika, please listen carefully. For some reason, your world rejects me. This should be impossible. Given that she's both a paranormal existence and a deity, I couldn't imagine any situation that would make her anxious enough for her to weakly say, "This is impossible." All I could do was keep on wailing half insanely for her to do something. Anything. But I can't do anything. This is the first time. This isn't possible. Stop acting so miserable and hurry up and do something already. Anything. I can't, Rika. Your world is giving off a power that rejects me. If you don't do something about that, there's nothing I can do. Stop saying things that don't make sense. What do you mean, a power that rejects you? You're a deity. That can't be. You're right. It can't be. But there is no fragment on this side, so I can't line up the pieces. I don't know how, but the fragment is lost somewhere in your world. Fragment? What do you mean? Explain it so I understand. I'll do anything I can. Continuing to act so deranged won't help with anything. I managed to figure out what Hanyu was saying, what Hanyu wanted to say, and now I knew I had to eliminate the obstacle. The situation utterly escaped me, but it seemed like if I didn't do something, Hanyu couldn't appear in front of me. I'm sorry for losing my composure. I'll calm down now. So explain again, please. What on earth is going on? Rika, I don't know why this is, but a part of a fragment which should be in the world of the gods seems to be lost in the world you're in right now. As an analogy, it's like the key you need to unlock a door being locked inside that room. What's a fragment? Oh, those things. What appears as the world to you is called a fragment in the higher dimensions. We've been connecting those fragments like a jigsaw puzzle to walk between worlds. I see. I think I understand the analogy. The world I'm in now is a fragment, a piece of a jigsaw puzzle, but something happened to the part that connects to the rest, and it won't fit with the pieces around it, right? That's right. That missing piece always has to be on this side. But now, for some reason, it's on that side instead. The fragments should be in the world of the gods, but for some reason it fell into the human world, and now it's missing? That's about right. Alright, I just have to do something about that fragment, right? I'll do what you say. Where is that fragment? And what should I do with it? Is this really the time to be in? Where is that fragment thing? And what does it look like? I don't know. What? How am I supposed to search for it if you don't know? I don't understand either. From here, I can only hear your voice. I can't interfere at all with that world as I am now. But if it's called a fragment, then it will look like a glowing piece of crystal like this. I think that's probably right, but I can't even imagine what shape it would take if something that belonged in a higher dimension ended up in the human world. I felt all my energy drain out of me, and I heaved a sigh. We don't even know what it looks like. This is the worst. Anyway, if I do find it, what would I do? How would I get it back into the world of the gods? You don't even know that. I'm sorry. This is the first time this has happened. I don't really know either. I laughed, mostly at myself, and before I realized it, I couldn't stop my tears from falling. After getting sent to this crazy world, I don't even know how to get back. Today, of all days, I was in such high spirits, going to the pool with my friends. That tiny fragment of happiness... that tiny fragment of happy days we'd all finally obtained after escaping the dead end of June 1983. And just because I was messing around on the way back just a little, I got sent to this horrible world. But if I'm going to complain about that, in the end, it's my own fault for not being careful on the road, isn't it? I lost my balance on the bicycle, got thrown off, and fell into the car there. A common traffic accident. A common death of a child. It just happened to be me this time. The future I'd won after over 100 years. Now, just because of that, everything was in pieces. I could wail all I want, but the only thing at fault was my own carelessness. In fact, I should be thankful to Hanyu for letting me live. But sending me to a world like this, it's too cruel. No, it wasn't as though Hanyu sent me here because she wanted to. I know that. It's like you remember, Rika. Our power has been wearing away. And with the last of that power, we reached our victory. So we were never supposed to be able to use it again. You mean you used your power... You mean you used that power to save me? Yes. There was nothing else I could do. Rika, you... Ugh. Okay. Rika, your body flew off your bike. And if the dice had come up better, you might have fallen on the car and made it out injured but alive. But you were unlucky. And when you flew off, you landed right in front of the car's tires. From Hanyu's words, colored with sadness, it felt like she'd watched me fly off, get run over by the car, and die. Everyone had their mouths wide open, in a daze. The car's brakes screeched as it crashed into the guardrail, but nobody was listening. And then, Satoko, she ran over to you, but you looked... Your face was gone. The car crushed my head flat. Oh. Chie was always talking about this, wasn't she? Never playing the road. I could imagine the rest of the story without Hanyu telling me. That fun day we had was wiped out in an instant by my careless fooling around. We dove together into the longest June 19th, 1983 of these past 100 years, and the peaceful future we finally reached through the sharing of countless miracles was wiped out in an instant. My corpse was too horrible to look at. Satoko came running over first, and then everyone else. And they all wished they'd wake up from that nightmare, until they lost all hope, broke down, and wept. Compared to that heart-splitting sadness, the one who was actually careless, grumbling about wanting to go home since this world was uncomfortable, counted for nothing. Did that mean, in the end, it was all my fault? All my own fault. I'd struggled through so many years to reach that future, and I'd carelessly lost it by nobody's fault but my own. And I was blessed since Hanyu was here for me, so I should be thankful. Because if that had happened to someone other than me, they'd just lose their life, and nothing more. Just the fact that there was hope, even if it was only a single, tiny ray, surely meant I was fortunate. Thanks. Huh? Idiots die in accidents from carelessness all the time in Japan, and I was one of them. I should have died just died without complaints. But thanks to you, even though things have gotten strange, I'm alive. And I'm sure it will be really, really hard, but there is still a way to return to that world. Let's review. To bring me back to the original world, honey, you need to come here, right? Yes, of course. I want to return to the original world with you, Rika. Naturally. We won that world after over 100 years of struggle. We're going back. I would spend another 100 years to do it. I won't lose. I won't lose heart just for fooling around a little on the road and being sentenced to another 100 years. That will make me cry. Ooh. Rika, even in the world beyond, everyone is praying for you. They're praying that, even if it costs them their lives, that you turn back time and make it so the accident never happened. I think those prayers were why I was able to find you, Rika. In this storehouse, in which I could smell only dust, I thought I caught the scent of incense. But I couldn't see it, couldn't hear it, but somehow I knew. It was my funeral, and I thought I could hear them. My friends' heartbroken, grieving over my coffin. Their cries were incredibly sad. So sad, so painful, as though it would tear me apart. I understood. My carelessness. It had destroyed not only my life, but everyone else's happiness. I'll go back. I'm going back. I will return to that world no matter what. No matter how narrow the path may be, I'll do it. I'll go back for sure. Ooh. My tears, filled with sadness, mixed with determination, mixed with saltiness, dropped to the floor. Rika, being locked in that world is the same as the dead end of 1983. It might look like an inescapable fate, but you absolutely can escape it. I know. Kiichi taught me that. And even Takano taught me too. Fate was thinner than a goldfish scooping net. And strong enough feelings can reshape the future. Okay. This is where I'll stop for today. Next time we'll pick things up right here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 2. That. It might be little over one more video for this, or more than that. Who knows? Anyways, till next time, everyone. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.